Latrai clan of Phu Bai village. Dear uncles and nieces and nephews of Latrai family, Phu Bai village, Tui Phu commune, Hong Tui district, Thua Thien Hu province. Dear relatives of La family, Loc and commune, Phu Loc district, Thua Thien Hu province. Dear relatives of La from Dien Cat, Dien Chau, Nguyen. Dear relatives of the La family in Tai Bin, who have a blood relationship with Mr. La Si Hu. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have the same bloodline with the Latrai family, Phu Bai village in particular, and have a blood relationship with the later La family in general. Dear all uncles and relatives, during July 2021, we have an article and video with the title, The Tale of Mr. Ong Tri of Phu Bai Village, Su Tik Lum Ong Tri Lang Phu Bai, to introduce the outlines of Mr. Tri's background and career, so that future descendants have a basis to learn more. To complete the glorious history of the ancestors. Ladies and gentlemen, life has many unusual changes, which the descendants of the Latrai of Phu Bai family did not anticipate. So on October 6, 2022, we wrote an additional opening in the article about Mr. Tri's legend, with the purpose of acknowledging and paying tribute to the contributions of dear uncles and relatives. Through good follow-up, we've known that there have been several relatives who have silently and indirectly helped in time, so it has brought results ideal to their wishes. We sincerely thank the relatives who silently helped them. In the meantime, we have translated all of them into English, so that later on, our descendants abroad would have the opportunity to learn about the history of ancestors through each stage of change. Now it's time to read the translation. The Tale of Ong Tri of Phu Bai Village. Dear all the uncles and aunts, belonging to the Latrai family, Phu Bai Village, Tui Phu commune, Thua Thien Hu. Dear all relatives, in 2021, I was informed by my uncle that according to the policy of economic development of our province, the land belonging to our ancestors' old farm around the tomb will be completely recovered and unearthed, leaving only the land for the grave, and a very small amount of land in the old church of the Patriarchate, before 1974. They also said that they were making a petition to their superiors for reconsideration and save the land. I felt their argument was weak when presenting the history of our ancestor, Lord Latrai. Because they have long relied on historical sources, belonging to the wild history of some Go relatives who wrote incorrectly according to the national historical source, for example, the book Hong Fa Phu Bai, or Phu Bai Su Quang, and the descendants of the Go family wrote later, such as the story of Phu Bai Legendary Village, published in December 2019. That is why I wrote the story of Mr. Tri based on the main historical source of historian Le Kai Dan, along with historical exhibits and witnesses, to give them enough historical background to present to their superiors. But it seems it's too late. This summer, I went to worship the village, and heard from my uncle that my superiors are considering it, and can leave them about over 2 hectares. I feel somewhat consoled, but I also had an invitation. Some officials belong to the field of cultural and historical research, and through exchanges, they said that there is relatively good hope, because based on the state's land acquisition regulations, the land belongs to the national defense, or state requisition, must comply with 100%. As for private companies, it will be easy to consider and adjust. However, I am not too subjective, so I took advantage of finding the old house of Uncle Lahu Du. Looking forward to seeing his brothers and sisters and children again to present some events related to the previous ethnicity as well as the past. Now, just in case the worst case happens, ask them to advise them. But when he arrived, Uncle Ho's house went somewhere unknown. The old place was a certain company. I continued to visit Ms. El Lati's Zoan office during 1992. and learned that she was retired and now lives in Hue, but I don't know the address. The agency said, if I need to search, I can ask the radio station to help me find it on the message section. But because my stay in Hue was too short, I couldn't do it. Despite being so worried, but still harboring hope that things will be as good as they said at the time. But unexpectedly, when I returned to the United States for a short time, things were much different. The first is that it doesn't work to ask people for help. Then the second thing is that the land around the old barracks of the Patriarch is about 12 hectares, that is 120,000 square meters, but now people have taken it away, leaving only the tomb area and the old church land of our ancestors. I'm about 400 square meters. Therefore, I would like to upload the video The Story of Mr. Try once again, so that you and your relatives can relate to the bloodline of the Latry family in Phu Bai village. After reading and listening, do you have any ideas, please? Advise and help uncles, descendants of La Phu Bai, especially the brothers and sisters, Uncle Du's children, and the brothers and sisters of Ms. Zoan. If you are still in Hue, if you hear this video, hope to spend some precious time to visit Sauda Church in Village 6, Phu Bai Village, and at the same time advise them on the content mentioned above. As for La Phu Bai's uncle, he should find a way to directly contact Du's aunts and uncles, Uncle An's grandchildren are still in Hue or not, and find a way to contact Ms. La T Zoan, formerly working at Hue Medical School, now retired, where in Hue. The search method, they will ask the secretary. Finally, I wish all my uncles, aunts and relatives with the same bloodline as Latry Phu Bai, all the best. Please read the following content. The Tale of Mr. Try. Translated to English. Original article. Su Tik Lum Mong Tri Lang Phu Bai. The Chronicles of the Groves of Mr. Try of Phu Bai Village. Greetings ladies and gentlemen, relatives, especially 3 descendants of the younger generation of the La family, who messaged us to inquire when we would write about out ancestor of the La family. I have put it on the internet, did an audio transcription to accompany the video for convenience. Turn just on your mobile device in your pocket while walking and listening, at your leisure. That's right. Recently, the two of you rarely make videos about ancestor La. Sometimes there are articles about him. So today, I've compiled those articles into audio transcriptions and converted into videos for you to listen to at your convenience. If there is any good news regarding our La family, please let us know. Wishing the family of 3 descendants the best. The following is a machine reading of the article about the Chronicles of the Groves of Mr. Try of Phu Bai Village. The Chronicles of the Groves of Mr. Try of Phu Bai Village. Mr. Try's Grove is the farm of a great martial arts general of the La family who served under Lord Nguyen Phuc Tan. He was respected by the Lord, because he was a skilled martial artist, able to catch wild animals, tigers, and leopards with his bare hands. Mr. Latry was assigned by Lord Nguyen Phuc Tan to set up a team of bodyguards to guard the Lord's mansion. At the same time, he also trained martial arts for subordinates, from which he got the name La Dai Lang, general manager of the city guard, that is, the official in charge of the defense of the citadel. Later, his soldiers were trained to become a talented martial artist and they honored him as to Su Vong Tan Vei. Mr. Latry's real name is La Trung Nia. He is the second son of La Sai Hue of the Hao La lineage. Mr. Hue was a mandarin under the period when which Lord Latrin rebelled against the Mac clan. Mr. Hue descended from the La clan Tai Bin. During the anti-Mac period, he lost the battle, withdrew his troops to Hon Chau Nguyen, and established the first La family there, now Dien Cat. Dien Chau Nguyen. Mr. La Trung Nia, after working as an official under Lord Nguyen Phuc Tan, established a farm in the west of Phu Bai Mountain. At that time this mountain area was very wild, there were many wild animals that often disturbed flowers and vegetation of the Aboriginal people here. Fortunately, Mr. Guy Latry, who has extraordinary strength with high martial arts, was able to defend this area to protect the people from being disturbed by wild animals. The time after Mr. Go Tu, aka Go Fuck Tu, who was a mandarin in the four ranks of the court under the reign of Lord Gian Phuc Tan, came to reclaim and establish a hamlet of Phu Bai. Accompanying Mr. Go Tu was Mr. Nguyen Duong, rank of Kai Doi Duong Lahao. Mr. Latry was invited by Mr. Go Tu to attend. He agreed and made a brotherhood with Lord Go. So, Phu Bai village had the first three founders, Mr. Go, Mr. La, Mr. Nguyen. All three of them were from Ton, Nagi, Tin, and followed Lord Nguyen to the south to expand fertile territories of Vietnam. During the establishment of the village at that time, General Latry still controlled the mountains to the west of the village. Mr. Lee's farm area is a beautiful hilly land. But according to Lord Ngio's knowledge of astronomy and geography, this is the place where the Earth Spirit Tree is connected to the Great Earth, a great place for lords and generals to be buried. The two of them made a pact with each other: in the future whoever dies first must be buried here. Later, Mr. La died first and was buried here as promised. Strictly speaking, this was the resting grounds of Mr. Guy La at that time. But unfortunately, the papers related to his historical evidence had to be burned when Nguyen Hue ascended the throne, fearing retaliation. Because Mr. Go, La, Nguyen were all officials under the Nguyen dynasties. The three Mr. Go, La, Nguyen reclaimed and opened up Phu Bai village into a large land of about 35 square kilometers, in which the area of land settlements and crops is about more than 2,000 acres. The hilly area is also about 1,600 acres. In addition, iron was mined in the surrounding mountains during the reigns of Nguyen Phuc Tan, Nguyen Phuc Thai, Nguyen Phuc Chu. The special thing is that from the beginning of the establishment of the village, they predicted that the two areas to the northwest and southeast of the village had potential deposits of ores. The area of young gold in the northwest is Dong Nay, Ko Zo, Jiu Ga, and the southwest region with large reserves of copper and gold is Mo Tro, Dong Tik, Mo Tao. Perhaps from this concept, the name Phu Bai has been derived from since its inception. This fact I presented in a short documentary written in 1992, titled, A New Discovery About Phu Bai Village. This document I have personally sent to Mr. La Hu Du, is the brother of Mr. La Duc An, then the president of the country. I have made a clear statement to Mr. Du. If in the future anyone exploits ores in those two areas as outlined in my documents, to ask him to please explain clearly with Mr. An. And ask him to intervene with the miner and to give back a bonus in the form of a commission to give the villagers of Phu Bai some money to rebuild the village's worship temples for ancestors, Na. Tho Tun Tak Ho Lang. Mr. Du promised me that if he had a chance to go to Hanoi, he would report back to Mr. An. If because of health, he couldn't go and that happened, he would ask his son for help with this. And Uncle Du kindly advised me to rest assured not to worry. I said goodbye to Uncle to leave. 39 years have passed, nothing happened, and over time it has gone faded into memories. Please allow me to stop here and we'll continue next time. Phu La Phuong Go, New York, July 16, 2021. The Chronicles of the Groves of Mr. Tri of Phu Bai Village, P2. Thereafter, General Latry passed, and was buried next to the left side of the cottage in the garden of his farm. Then after that, his descendants were no longer here. And that cottage was only a place of worship for him. Every year on the day of his death, his descendants come here to clean the grave and burn incense. The thatched house is becoming dilapidated. Around 1704, the village provided a number of farmland for their descendants to rebuild a decent house to worship him, called the Shrine of Mr. La, and at the same time granted an acre of land called the Incense Firefield for the descendants to worry about. Every year, they also provide a few more fields for a descendant to take care of. Protect the forest from the villagers to cut it down on their own, since then the grove has become denser and denser. Luxuriant, many birds come to nest. There are small wild animals such as weasels, foxes, wild boars, etc. also come to take shelter here, making many villagers think this is a wild natural forest. Here are a few examples. Historical evidence related to the farm of the great general of the La family. 1. Around 1854 to 1855, after Yu Duk was crowned emperor, for about 7 or 8 years, the king started looking for a good place to build a mausoleum for himself. King Tu Duk was not only good at poetry, but he was also adept in astronomy and geography. Not knowing how the king viewed astronomy, but he felt that the hills and mountains west of Phu Bai village was a holy place, a land that Tu Huyat Ket Dai Dia Kon Tuong Da Vong. So the king and his entourage came here 2 or 3 times to find that land, but for some reason, King Tu Duk could not find it. According to the understanding of the Taoist Zen master Go Fuk Tu, who was a master of astronomy, geography, and spiritual energy, yin and yang, in the early days of establishing the village, Mr. Go knew that this land was the resting ground and location of Lord Li's tomb. But perhaps thanks to Mr. Li's blessing, he was protected by heaven and earth. So King Yu Duk could not find it, thereby avoiding the relocation of the tomb. According to the prophecy of Mr. Go, Mr. La's tomb, after escaping the above-mentioned tribulation, will come to realization. True to this, in the 20th century, 1920, the La family produced a descendant who was destined to be a king. Then by the end of the 20th century, this descendant had become general and emperor. That is Mr. La Duc An of the La family, Loc and Commune, Phu Loc District, Thua Thien Hu. During the resistance war against the French colonialists from 1945 to 1954, Mr. Tri Li's Grove was the base of the revolutionary government of Hai Tui Commune, Hong Phu District. This place is considered quite safe, thanks to the protection of trees and natural terrain. In 1974, the village and the descendants of Mr. Tri La just relocated his worship shrine to Ki Chua, near the temple to worship the founding ancestor, Go Fuk Tu. The shrine has a front hall, a post tram, a mule, a pillar, and an adoring horse. In a nutshell, Mr. Li's farm was his residence, his garden in life, and then he was buried there, and his shrine was there. This is the truth about the history of General La, no one can deny. But now, because of the need to expand the economy, the provincial government has a policy of taking all the land belonging to his farm and garden, so the descendants are too angry. I hope that those in higher power will reconsider in accordance with the spirit of the Vietnamese people's good traditional culture, which is drinking water, remembering the source. Uong Nuk No Nguyen. Finally, I wish you and your family good health. And I hope that you and your family will strictly abide by the regulations of the government so that together we can successfully fight the COVID epidemic soon. Phu La and Phuong Go. USA. December 15, 2021.